Up the last chapter from Pilgrim's Progress, and then hopefully by that time the TV will be working and we'll go with the pictures. So if you guys remember last week in chapter 4, Christian is freed from his burden. And which way did his burden leave him? You threw the ball. Which way did it go? That way, but which way is that? East. So as far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions or our sin from us. So Christian's burden could only be removed where? Where was his burden removed at? The cross, the place of deliverance called in this book. So it's only at the cross that we can be freed from our burden of sin, because Jesus is the only one who can take our guilt and our penalty for our sin. So then, remember, Christian is met by the three shiny ones who gave him new clothes and a scroll. The scrolls represent, did you do them all the wrong way? The scrolls represent the security of the believers have being sealed for the day of salvation. As Christian continued, he met simple, slothful, and presumption. They represent those who have no desire or care for the spiritual things, and they refuse to change. They're unaware of the danger they're in. Lastly, formalist and hypocrisy are those who pretend to be good, and they act like upright people, but they really don't know God or follow His Word. You guys remember what happened to the two way at the end, which path they took?
The one boy took the path of this way and got lost in the forest, and the other boy took the path that way and got lost in the valley.
Exactly. So they both took the wrong path. You want to redo it, Mose, or can you switch? Yeah, they might be able to get it.
I did it like the last time. So now I have to go this way? That's the way I took them. Explain that. Don't we have a system going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Bet I don't have it. Sometimes when you're taking a picture, with your phone facing straight down, it goes sideways.
Is that what it did? Because I took them like this.
Yeah. Sometimes it
I wish I could go like this.
Yeah, it would bring a lot better.
They don't have like an app or like a
I looked all over for an app or something, yeah.
put something together, right?
Well, somebody needs to make it a digital version of this thing. This is cool. Cool story.
I think that's the last one. So yeah, hypocrisy and what was the other name? They went different paths. And then Christian seen the hard path going straight up the hill, the straight and narrow. So he said, that's the way to go. And there you see him climbing. So Christian continued up the difficult hill. He knew that that was the king's way, though hard was always best. And Christian was eager to reach the top. But the higher he climbed, the steeper it became. And soon he had to crawl on his hands and knees. And he started to wonder, will I ever make it to the top? Well, Christian was sore and tired, and he worried that he might collapse and fall down the hill. But to his relief, he came across a shaded seat with a beautiful arbor. The king had made this place to give little pilgrims rest on Difficult Hill. But Christian lay down, and he pulled the scroll from his pocket to read the message from the king. He looked at his beautiful clothes the king had given him. He smiled, then he drifted into a deep sleep. See, that place wasn't meant to sleep. It was just meant to rest. Well, he made a mistake and fell into a deep sleep. And Christian heard a voice in his dream that said, "Look to the ant, you sluggard. Consider his ways and be wise." Oh my, he had slept far too long and it was nearly dark. He panicked and he hurried toward the top of the hill. But two boys named Timorous and Mistrust came running down the hill. Christian asked them, "Why are you going this way? The celestial city is in the other direction." They said, "Well, we tried to make it to the celestial city, but the further we go, the more dangers we meet. There are lions on the path, big, ferocious lions. We are turning back." They were scared. Yes. As Christian kept going, he wondered, if I go forward, I may be attacked by lions. If I go back to the city of destruction, I'll certainly die there. What should I do? Christian was in a hard place. And if you read the big book, it really caught my attention. He was wondering what to do, but the big book says, to go back means nothing but death. To go forward is the fear of death, but beyond it is life everlasting. And that caught my attention. If I go back to where I came from before I was born again, I'll certainly die. To go forward means I have to die before I can get to heaven, but beyond death, I'll reach my point. So I'm going to go forward. It don't make sense to go back. So Christian was perplexed. He was puzzled. He knew what found him comfort the last time, so he reached to find the scroll that he had been given, but he couldn't find it. Oh no, where could it be? Will the king let him in without it? Does anyone know where he would have put the scroll? Do you know? Down. Did he rest or actually fall asleep? He fell asleep, and that was his problem. Then he remembered the place where he slept. Maybe I dropped it there. I am such a fool for sleeping so long while there was daylight. Now I may never find my scroll. So Christian reached the arbor and searched in the darkness. Then he saw something glimmering in the moonlight. Oh, my scroll! Christian rejoiced. He picked it up, clutched it to his chest. But his joy soon turned to fear as he remembered what the boys had said. Did they really see lions? It was so dark now, the lions will be able to sneak up on me. Well, Christian continued up the hill through the dark until he saw a beautiful palace, and he walked toward it. He hoped to find a safe place to sleep for the night. But there were the lions guarding the pathway. He wanted to run, but he was frozen with fear. Then he heard a voice call out from the palace, "Do not lose heart. The lions cannot hurt you. They were placed here to test your faith. If you stay on the narrow path, they will never reach you." So, in the Bible, I have to think of the story where Jesus said unto Peter, "Behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat, but I have prayed for you that thy faith fail not." So there's going to be times when we get into hard situations and it seems like the lion's going to attack us. Who does the Bible say the lion is? He is Satan. It says, be sober, 1 Peter 5:8, be sober and watchful, because your adversary, the devil, walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour, but resist him, stand firm in your faith. So faith is a big key here, and I have an object lesson about faith at the end. So faith is huge. That is what keeping Pilgrim on his journey. So Christian on his journey. Christian continued with small steps. One page back, Mose. He continued with small steps. He was trembling, The lions roared and growled as he passed. But now he saw that they were chained. At the gate he was greeted by Watchful, and Christian said, "Sir, what house is this? And may I stay here for the night?" Watchful answered, "This is the beautiful palace. It was built by the king to help pilgrims on their journey." Christian was delighted. I knew the king wouldn't leave me on my own. He has helped me all along the way. So he went into the palace, and he was tired and hungry. So 4 women brought out a wonderful meal for him. During the meal, they talked about the king. They told Christian how the king's son left Celestial City to seek poor pilgrims. He even became a pilgrim himself and walked the king's path without ever turning away to the wide or crooked paths. They told him of the great battle with Beelzebub and how the king's son died to defeat him, but he rose again victorious. All this made Christian love the king even more. So, as Christian thought about the king's son, his heart was full of joy. He slept soundly that night. When he woke, the women showed him the armory. It was filled with weapons from the king for pilgrims to use in fighting any enemies along the path. Christian looked at the sword, the shield, the helmet, the breastplate. He wondered whether someday he might need this armor. What do you guys think? You guys think he needs this armor for the rest of his journey? Do we as Christians need an armor like that? Yes, we do. So, I have an object lesson. And this object lesson, most of us start off like timorous and mistrust. You know, we try to make it on our own up to Celestial City or heaven. And look, they climbed that difficult hill. They were doing it by their own works. They were tired, and it took a lot of air. So I'm going to takes a little bit of air to blow this balloon up. So let's pretend like this is them. They're going up the hill. Everything's going good. You wouldn't notice much of a difference. But what did they meet on top of the hill? A lion, or we'd say the trials of life and hard times. Now, if we put these two mistrusts under fire, what do you kids think happens? You think it'll pop? You sure? It sure does. Gone. They went back, and what happened? They're going to pop and die. Nothing became of it. So, we can't put our own faith in ourselves. What do we have to put our faith in? God, Jesus, something outside of our faith. So I have another balloon here, and if you put your faith in Jesus, who loved you, he gave himself for you. Galatians 2:20 says, "I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ lives inside of me." I put something inside of this balloon. Can you guys, kids, guess what it is? Water. Now, does Jesus say he puts water inside of us? What about the woman at the well? He puts the Holy Spirit in us, is correct. But he told the woman at the well that the water that I shall give you shall be in you a well of water springing up into everlasting life. So we want the water that Jesus had. So if he has the water inside of us, do you kids think it'll pop now? No? Let's see. No, but that's not a roaring lion. Them lions were big, roaring, and scary, right? So let's see if we can demonstrate the big, scary, roaring lions. Because this was real life. That was real scary to Christian. Okay? So what if we make this scary? and put a big torch on. Do you guys think it'll pop then? We'll turn it all the way up. Raise your hand if you think it can withstand the fiery darts of the wicked one. You think it can withstand it? For how long? Count to 5. Look at that. That's pretty strong because it has its faith not in the outside of the balloon, but on the inside. So if it would only be this, it shrivels up and pops right away. Okay? So there's your lesson. Don't put your faith on yourself, on your outside. You'll pop right away. Okay? All right, you children are dismissed.